Mara Trent was standing in the breakfast aisle of the grocery when the notification chimed. Somnus, the experimental blind date service she had signed up for on a dare, had found her a match. Congratulations, the message read, pulsing blue. Probability of compatibility, 97.8%. Rendezvous tonight, 7 p.m., Cafe Aventine. Dress, share, dream. Mara almost laughed aloud. She had forgotten she'd even completed the registration interview, half amused, half wine-blurred, clicking through questions no other app had asked. Describe your most common nightmare in 60 words or less. At what time of night does it usually occur? Do you awaken before or after the climax? In 3 words, name the smell. She had answered honestly, because there was no marketing reason, she assumed, for anyone to weaponize bad dreams. And if this new startup wanted to match people by nocturnal terrors instead of shared hobbies, why not? Interests were negotiable, nightmares were intimate truths, but her honesty meant revealing a secret she had never spoken aloud. The nightmare of the cabin. It began the same way every time. She was alone in a moonlit forest, breath frosting in the air. A narrow trail led to a clapboard cabin, windowless except for one square pane lit from within. Inside, a man was bound to a chair. Mara felt the handle of a hunting knife in her palm, slick as though it already knew blood. She approached, pushed the door, raised her arm, and woke, heart detonating, the moment the blade went in. A therapist had once assured her the dream was only unprocessed fear. Mara had nodded, paid, and never returned. Some fears, she suspected, were older than language. Now Somnus wanted her to meet a stranger whose inner darkness supposedly harmonized with hers. It was perverse and strangely comforting. Maybe, she thought, nightmares were just another kind of loneliness waiting for company. She arrived at Cafe Aventine 10 minutes early. The hostess guided her to a candlelit two-top near the window. Somnus provided no photos, but the profile had said her match was 33. Profession: emergency medical services. Wearing forest green jacket for recognition. She ordered sparkling water and practiced slow breathing. At exactly 7, a man stepped through the door, shrugged off a weather-beaten green jacket, and scanned the room. He had the alert, compact posture of someone trained to respond to calamity, yet his eyes carried something bruised. When he spotted her, he half smiled, almost apologetically, and approached. "Lucas Reed," he said, offering a hand. "Mara Trent." The handshake lingered a fraction too long, a charge of curiosity passing between strangers who'd already bared something invisible to each other. They covered the prescribed small talk, work, siblings, how Somnus had lured them. Lucas's voice was warm, but every so often it snagged on hesitation, as though he were worried the air itself might eavesdrop. Finally, he leaned in. "The app said we should share the event, in their terms, within the first 15 minutes. Clock's ticking." Mara exhaled. "You go first." Lucas drew lines in the condensation on his water glass. "All right, it's always the same. I'm in a small wooden cabin, middle of nowhere. I'm tied to a chair. My wrists are raw. I can feel the rope fibers cutting skin. The room smells of pine sap and iron. Blood, maybe. There's a single lantern on a table. The door opens. Someone steps in wearing a hood, but it's not a mask. It's just shadow. They raise a knife. I see the blade catch the light, and just before it comes down, he snapped fingers softly. I wake, 3:10 a.m., like clockwork. Been having it for 7 years. A cold ripple moved through Mara, equal parts awe and dread. She had expected overlap, not identical geography. She glanced at his chest as though expecting to see a wound, though logic insisted dreams didn't bleed. "You look like you recognize it," Lucas said. She nodded, swallowing. "I'm the one holding the knife." They stared at each other while the cafe's murmur seemed to recede behind aquarium glass. Outside, street lamps flickered on, printing their silver shapes against the window. Lucas managed a hoarse laugh. That's a hell of a pickup line. It's not a line. She placed both palms on the table, steadying them. My nightmare starts in the forest. I walk to the cabin, open the door, and you're there. I raise the knife, but I never see your face. Then I'm awake. Same timestamp, 3:10. Their meals arrived. Risotto for her, grilled salmon for him. But appetite had left the building. They prodded food while trading details. Each time one offered a sensory scrap, creak of floorboards, honey gold lantern light, the smell of sap. The other finished the description. The nightmare was not similar. It was shared, like two halves of a film reel. Opposite camera angles, Lucas said. The algorithm found a matched set. But why us, and why this scene? She shivered. I've never met you. I'd remember. What if it isn't about meeting in life? Lucas suggested. What if it's memory? The thought chilled her more than the October draft through the door. A memory of murder. Except he was clearly alive. Unless the dream belonged to someone else wearing their skins. Mara checked her phone. Somnus says we can request an analyst during the first 36 hours. An actual human. They call it Dream Council. Want to? He rubbed the bridge of his nose. Do I want to pay $80 to have a PhD tell me I have unresolved parental issues? Not really, but I do want answers. He tapped the tabletop twice. Decision made. Let's keep talking, somewhere quieter. They left the cafe, walked 2 blocks to the riverfront where benches overlooked black water ribboned with city light. The night was cool, damp with leaf rot and diesel fumes from barges. Lucas explained that he'd first had the nightmare after a bad call-out. Head-on collision, 2 fatalities. He couldn't link the dream to the accident, and therapy hadn't helped. My last psychologist suggested lucid dream rehearsal. I tried, but every time I became aware inside the dream, I still couldn't stop you, whoever, from stabbing me. Mara admitted hers began after she moved to the city. No trauma she could name. She'd kept a dream journal. Details never drifted. Like a recording, she murmured. We're stuck in someone's home movie. Lucas's gaze moved past her toward the current. What if it's a real place? I mean, cabins in the woods aren't exactly rare. But the layout, the single window, the round lantern, it's distinctive. Are you suggesting we find it? Part of me thinks it's batshit insane, he said. The other part is tired of waking up at 3:10 feeling a phantom knife in my chest. Mara surprised herself by nodding. I want it to end too. They exchanged numbers, promising to sleep on the idea, pun grimly intended, and parted beneath the rusted iron arch of the pedestrian bridge. That night, Mara dreamed again, but something shifted. When the blade rose, the bound man's eyes were suddenly visible, gray, flecked with gold, like Lucas's in the candlelight. Shock hit her like surf. She tried to drop the knife. Instead, an invisible force guided her arm downward, and she awoke with a scream lodged in her throat. 3:10 a.m., glowing green. She texted Lucas. Happened again. Saw your eyes this time. Worse. A minute later, his reply buzzed. Same. Saw your face before blackout. This is escalating. One more line. Let's find the cabin. 2 days later, they sat in Mara's living room surrounded by printouts. Lucas had traced property records for counties within a 2-hour radius, filtering for cabins built before 1950 with single-pane side windows and listed derelict. Mara had overlaid public satellite images with tree-line density approximating the dream's forest. They narrowed to 3 candidates. Road trip, Lucas asked. Tomorrow, Mara said, feeling adrenaline thaw something frozen inside her. If we locate the place and it breaks the loop, maybe Somnus earns its fee. He grinned. The weirdest first date in history. Let's hope it's not the last. They left before dawn in Lucas's Subaru, caffeine-armed. Conversation moved between gallows humor and long pockets of silence where both seemed to brace for impact. The GPS pin for Candidate 2 took them onto a gravel road tunneling through maples and spruce. By late morning, they reached a rusted gate, chained but toppled. They hiked the remaining quarter-mile. The cabin waited like a memory, impersonating architecture. Gray clapboard, sagging porch, single square window boarded from within. Even the air smelled correct. Sap and iron. Mara's stomach rebelled. "It's real?" Lucas squeezed her shoulder. "Let's document first, then we decide what to do." They circled the exterior, phone cameras recording. No tire tracks, no recent footprints. The door was secured with a padlock easy to snap with Lucas's multi-tool. When the wood groaned open, an almost theatrical chill breathed out. Inside, the scene was both familiar and wrong, like walking into a childhood classroom years later. Same proportions, but dust-thick, furniture skeletal. The chair from the dream lay toppled, rope around its legs, frayed. Nearby, a metal lantern sat on a warped table, glass cracked. "Jesus," Lucas whispered. He touched the chair back, half expecting it to vanish. If this is an abandoned movie set, someone went all in. Mara knelt by a dark stain on the floorboards. Decades old, but unmistakable. Blood! Sudden nausea buckled her. Images crashed, her own hand stabbing downward, warm spray. The chair's jolt. She steadied on her heels, breathing like a swimmer breaking surface. Lucas drifted to the corner where a mildewed trunk crouched. Inside lay newspaper clippings, black and white photos, a man's wallet with IDs from the 1970s. A name recurred, Daniel L. Reed. He froze. "That's my dad." Mara straightened. "Your father, I thought he died when I was 8. Car accident. That's what Mom said." Lucas's face blanched as he flipped through articles. One headline, "Local man vanishes after Lonely Hearts ad." Another, "Family seeks answers in disappearance." No recovery, no suspect. Lonely Hearts ad. Mara's pulse hammered. "Your dad used a dating service?" "Pre-internet classifieds." Lucas's voice sounded remote. "He went to meet someone and never came home." Mara felt the floor pitch. The nightmare wasn't prophetic. It was historical. What year did he disappear? 1979. He looked up. "Day of the full moon in October, my birthday." She swallowed hard. "October 12th? His brows knitted. "Yeah, that's my birthday too." Silence filled the cabin, thick enough to bruise. Two people born the day a man vanished, now dreaming opposite sides of his murder. Coincidence cracked and fell away, revealing something colder. Lucas paced, scanning the walls. "Maybe. Your family. Do you know anyone who lived near here back then?" Mara shook her head. Her ancestry was a tangle of relocations, nothing near this county. Yet some ancestral guilt seemed to throb under her skin, as though blood memory kept the score even when names were lost. Footboards creaked above. They froze. Another sound. A soft scuff. "There's no second floor," Mara mouthed. Lucas flicked his flashlight beam upward. Dust motes spiraled. Nothing else. But the sound came again, closer. A drag across wood, almost conversational. Mara whispered, "We're not alone." He motioned toward the door, and they retreated into daylight where breaths steamed though the day was mild. The forest was windless. No distant traffic, no bird call. Only that circling hush of deserted places. "What now?" she asked. "We call the sheriff. Tell them we found evidence in a missing person case. Let professionals exhume whatever nightmare is inside." Mara wanted to agree, yet some instinct insisted outside authority would misfile the truth, leaving the dream alive. "Won't stop the nightmares," she said. "We need to finish it." Lucas understood before she had to elaborate. "Finish how?" "Confront the past, give him a voice, or a grave." They went back in, this time with resolve and a crowbar from the car. Under a loose floorboard where the stain darkened, they discovered shallow earth. Shoveling with trembling hands, they uncovered bone, a partial skeleton, wrists still bound by rope. Teeth glinted amid dirt. Lucas knelt, tears making tracks through dust on his cheeks. "Dad," he whispered. Mara placed a hand on his back. Guilt radiated through her, inherited or imagined. She couldn't keep her voice steady. "I'm so sorry." They carried the remains outside, wrapping them in a tarp. Lucas phoned the sheriff, voice measured. He offered coordinates, explained he and a friend were hikers who'd stumbled upon possible human remains. The dispatcher promised a team within the hour. While they waited, they sat side by side on the porch steps. The forest felt different, lighter, leaves whispering at last. Lucas exhaled. "I always thought closure was bullshit therapy speak, but right now, I feel him forgiving me for not knowing." Mara's throat tightened. "He's forgiving the wrong person." Lucas turned, puzzled. She told him more than she knew she'd ever confess. How since childhood she'd felt urges she couldn't name when walking in shadow. How the knife in the dream sometimes felt like destiny. Whatever happened in that cabin, something in me participated. I don't understand the mechanism. Reincarnation, bloodline possession, quantum imprint. But I was the hand that killed. Lucas listened without flinching. "I believe you believe that. But believing isn't evidence." He reached for her hand. "I don't hate you. Whoever murdered my father is long dead or effectively erased. You're here trying to set him free." Mara's eyes stung. "What if the nightmares don't stop? Then we keep meeting for coffee at 3:10 a.m. and ruin each other's sleep schedules together." She laughed, shaky but real. The forest echoed the sound. Sirens wailed distant, drawing closer. Deputies arrived, then crime scene techs, who taped the area and accepted the remains. Lucas answered questions while Mara provided her statement. No one asked why two strangers with no local ties were searching abandoned property. As afternoon waned, a coroner's van left with Daniel Reed's bones. The crime scene chief thanked them, promising updates. The cabin, now evidence, was locked. Its decades-old secret finally booked into daylight. Lucas drove Mara home. Both were bone-tired but strangely buoyant. On her stoop, they lingered. "Second date?" Lucas asked. "Something normal, bowling." "I'm bad at bowling," she admitted. "Perfect. I'll let you win." She kissed him, brief, tasting salt and sun-warm dust. "Thank you for not running when I said I might have murdered your dad in another life." He brushed hair from her eyes. "Thanks for stabbing me every night for 7 years. It's been weirdly intimate." They laughed, and the sound felt earned. That night, Mara slept unbroken until sunrise. When she finally dreamed again, she was standing in the forest, but dawn-pink light bathed the trees. The cabin lay ahead, door open, empty chair on the porch. A man stepped out. Lucas's father, younger than photographs, yet undeniably him. He tipped an invisible hat toward her, face serene, then walked into sunlight until he dissolved like mist. Mara woke, cheeks wet, heart quiet. At 7 a.m., her phone pinged. A message from Somnus. "We note significant dream pattern change in your biofeedback logs. Congratulations on successful resolution. Would you like to deactivate your account?" Below, 2 buttons. Yes and not yet. Mara tapped not yet, grinning, and typed back, "Let's see where the next dream takes us."